Give me a countdown of like 10 seconds. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna.
RawMikeRichards.com. Mike Richards, Dave Bastel. Show number 1 out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. King Street, downtown in the smoke. By the way, thanks to Henry's Canada. They're the Canadian camera store. They've been with us from the very beginning throughout this adventure of MikeRichards.com, Dave, and they are
Best of the best.
Yeah, excellent cameras. We got a lot of people to thank for the ability even to do this, especially our friends at Abbey Studios, the outstanding job they have done on that website. So once again, go to www.rawmikeRichards.com. The show available on all platforms if you're watching live, streaming on YouTube, and all of this due to our friends at Eggplant. They call themselves Canada's leading independent creative hub. That's a little over the top for me. Who wrote this, Wong? All of this making the ability to put this on for you. We're thrilled, as Dave and I am, for the first time in, holy Christ, it's like
year and a bit. What, a year and a half?
Something
year
like
and a
that,
bit. Yeah.
That's brutal. And, of course, there's lots to talk about here this morning, Dave, if we're taking a look at the NHL playoffs, which sadly came to an end for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'll be honest, I don't get why people would talk about jumping off buildings, tears. If you're sad by the performance you just saw by the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't think you have a grasp on what it takes to build a franchise, a team, because, look, there should be no tears for that performance in that first round against a heavily favored Washington Capitol team who, quite honestly, are just thrilled they got out of this thing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. You kind of look at what the Maple Leafs did this year, Mike. This might be the best season the Maple Leafs have had in probably 2 decades, maybe even a little bit longer.
I could argue on a lot of points about just how, at this stage of the game, and again, why you have to take things incrementally on what they have done and from where they've started, because they're 2 years into this.
Yeah,
2, that's nothing.
I'd even say, maybe, yeah, you know what, that's fair, 2 years. Considering last year they were the worst team in the NHL, technically. They finished last, they got that number 1 pick, and they built. I personally think with where they are now is where I would expect them to be in 2017-18. So I think they're ahead of schedule.
Well, they played with house money.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I think that anyone who would be disappointed, I wouldn't understand that take at all.
Do you sense there's disappointment, though? I don't think there's disappointment. I think maybe the only disappointing part, if you want to really nitpick at this situation, it's disappointing on the last game of the season that they couldn't steal a point, because then you get Ottawa, then you get the opportunity of Montreal or the Rangers. In this case, it's the Rangers, and you kind of sit there and you go, look at the effort they put in against the Washington Capitals. Imagine that against the other grid. Are we talking about a possible conference final? I think we are.
I think also, Dave, when you take a look at it, it's just that the party's over, and it's been a pretty good party. If you want to take a look at sort of media-related arguments, I suppose, with this year's NHL playoffs, I know south of the border, the numbers have been abysmal. They've been terrible, and there's a reason for it. How many of those other series did you want to see? If we're looking at pure sports for the excitement and the engagement of why you'd want to turn the television on, well, I want to watch Edmonton. Because
yes.
To watch Connor McDavid and the rest of their young guns, who, again, when we talk chronologically where they are ahead of the Leafs, so they've got a bunch of years in terms of their ability to get the top draft picks. But their focus in getting a Todd McClellan and having Peter Chiarelli, some of the things that they have done, they're that year or two ahead of the Leafs, and they have Connor McDavid. Question is, how many years behind? Where, and I joked last night on Twitter saying, anyone for a Leafs Oilers final, I'd watch that. Now again, I don't know
in a heartbeat. Yeah.
I don't know if that technically is something that's even realistic. But when I'm taking a look at what I really want to see in terms of engagement, it's not Minnesota, St. Louis. It wasn't Ottawa, Boston. Nashville's an interesting story, but in the States, no one gives a rat's ass about Nashville, unless you got cowboy boots on and Ellie Mae's walking down there with no top on. That's the only reason you want to go to Nashville. You can get hammered, eat some brisket, and get together with a cousin. So what's wrong with that? But aside from that, and PK Subban, and he sort of moves on. The Canadians don't. Chicago's out.
That's a surprise. That's a surprise to me. But you know what? The Blackhawks have played a lot of hockey in the last 10 years.
Burnout factor huge. I mean, look at the Kings. So
Yep.
someone say, so Daryl Sutter's gone. And so what did he do in his 6 years? Look at what happened to the Kings in 6 years. 6 years. That's almost between those two teams. Because I think you have to redefine the word dynasty. Dynasty, there's no way you're winning 3 and 4 in any sport. Even 2.
Not anymore.
If you get 2 out of 3, which those teams I'm talking about did, that's a mini dynasty to me.
Yeah, that's the word dynasty as we know it is a word of the 80s that no longer exists in today's sport.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You're watching and listening, of course, available rawmicrichards.com on all platforms. So later on, of course, if you're not watching live, you know that you can absolutely get it on iTunes. Go to Google Play. You're just going to click on rawmicrichards.com and go to the way in which you want to watch or listen to it, which I'm happy to say that today, courtesy of our friends at Henry's Abbey Studios and our good friends at Eggplant doing this here today so we can sit there and basically... Well, there'll be a lot of mocking, I think, at some point.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. We're not going to get to it right away. Well,
No.
we might.
No,
We might. I got a list.
an engineer, Russell.
Yep.
Russell, who turned 14 yesterday and said at some point...
happy birthday, man.
Yep. Yep.
I didn't think he was that old.
Oh, no, he is. He told me some things about a girl that he likes, too. Yeah. Strangely enough, prostitute. But I'm just saying that we're very excited about the show. We're also going to cover, we're hoping that we'll be down in Chicago, actually, for the entry draft.
Okay.
We have a lot of news that eventually, as we move through the sort of the evolution of our building, we just talked about the building blocks of a franchise. That's what we're doing here. But we hope to be down in Chicago on the floor during the NHL draft. And if things work out, Vegas, baby.
That would be
For the
that'd
NHL
be
awards.
outstanding.
Yeah,
and you're right. You know what? Just like a franchise developing, I think that's what this is right here. Because every single day, every single week, something's going to change, something's going to improve, something's going to get better. It's just stay tuned. This is a lot different than what you've seen before everywhere else.
Yeah, yeah, and less douchebags and assholes. Like I said beforehand, we don't have to worry about any of that. Also, apparently, there's going to be a gift from a Hall of Famer coming in like an hour's time. So I don't know if that happens for everybody. I'm not sure who the Hall of Famer is. Wonder if it's Wayne Gretzky.
So it is a Hall of Famer.
Well, it's a bona fide Hall of Famer.
Okay.
So we're pretty excited about that. And don't forget as well on our radar, big time, as we go to the NFL draft. That's 3 days in Philadelphia.
Yes.
You got to take a look at it being not a quarterback draft per se.
No, next year's the quarterback draft.
Yeah. So you're looking at some running backs. You're looking probably the number one that was that defensive end out of Texas A&M.
Big time defense. Actually, there's a lot of secondary members that will be available too in the early rounds. You're right about the running back situation. You look at what the Dallas Cowboys did early with Ezekiel Elliott. He was a mainstay and probably one of the major reasons the Dallas Cowboys did what they did this year in front of that awesome offensive line that they have. Look for the same to actually happen this year's draft.
Well, you've got Fournette, who's going to be out of LSU. I mean, they actually have gambling lines. And by the way, we're going to have a huge story when it comes to this particular show and gaming, the best we've ever had. Will we be doing the sexy gold picks of gold sex?
Sure.
Absolutely.
We're keeping that name?
Oh, we're
That was our name to begin with.
That is, well,
you think anybody else thought of that name?
No, even Hugh Hefner does not think of that name. The Dave Baskell foreplay.
You know where that came from? Dave Baskell.
Yeah, hey, because it's so good, the foreplay. And so we'll keep that.
And
in
it's
mind.
underrated too, because you don't
very
hear too much
underrated.
about foreplay anymore.
No, you don't. And why should you? Who's for that? Also, as I said on the weekend, taking a look at what's coming up, we've got a bunch of surprises, and gaming is a big part of it. Although, thanks a lot, Man City. What were you doing against Arsenal? I had a huge, fat, golden sexy picks, and I'm betting baseball. Who likes betting baseball?
During the regular season in April. Yeah, that's a problem.
And I ran the board on baseball. Ran the board.
Did you like El Clasico at all? Were you surprised by Barcelona actually winning there?
Yeah. Well, Real they thought, this would be, I admit, I took Real.
I had a tie.
You took the tie?
I had a tie.
Wow.
And then, of course, there's that penalty time thing that you never know what's going to happen when the referee's sitting there not looking at anything. He's not even wearing a watch, but then he decides not to blow anything.
Here's what I always love. You're watching like a soccer match on TV. And it's like, there's your 90 minutes. Then it says +3, +4 in the stoppage time.
Yeah.
And then the announcer always says, he's looking at his watch. We know. Tweet, and there it is. Like it's some surprise party. Like it's magically the game just stopped. No, we know it's going to stop. So, by the way, it's Arsenal moving on to the
surprise
FA Cup final.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which is just sort of weird. Also, taking a look at what I thought was a little strange in the NBA. So you got Houston beating Oklahoma City. So they beat the Thunder, and then you have this the post game, which sometimes is a little uncomfortable depending on the individuals who are up there. So Westbrook, who is out just unbelievably record-setting this year with what he's done, triple doubles. But I mean,
one-man gang.
He's always been a freak as an athlete anyway. I mean, I don't think there's any surprise. It's just this year when you're the man, I guess that's what you got to do. But in post game, when he's up there, he doesn't want the reporter asking of him, when you're off the court, your team always, and I mean always, starts immediately losing, like within seconds. So you got a 12-point lead. All right, Russell's sitting the bench. All right. Immediately lead, and so he's got to jump back in again. The question was asked by a reporter. He said, so what do you make of that? I mean, every time in this series you come off your team, he goes, don't split us up. Don't ask him that question. Don't talk about that. We're a team. We lose as a team. And he said, dude, I'm not trying to split you guys up, but it's obvious when you come off the court.
Yeah.
You always lose the lead. And I thought, do you find it admirable that he wants to sort of throw himself in front of that bus and tell the reporters that they win as a team, they lose as a team? Or does it look almost childish that when something that's so obvious that you're picking out as a job, you've done the beat reporting, you have to ask what you just saw.
Right.
Does it look immature?
Maybe a little bit. See, the thing is, there's probably a better way of answering that question. You probably could sit there and say, you know what, some things happen, or you just kind of jog around it, but not make it so obvious what you're doing is trying to split. Because let's face it, there's one person that plays for the Thunder, and that's it. That's it. I'm actually still surprised that he played for the Thunder and he actually signed with the Thunder, because I thought he would be out the door with Kevin Durant. I'm not saying same team, but I had Russell Westbrook playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. I didn't think he'd want to even stay in that city. It's like sitting there saying, hey, I'm staying in Regina.
Well, and you bring up another interesting point when it comes to the cities in which you want to play professionally, because it brings commerce. It brings commerce to you personally. So if you're in Oklahoma City, good luck. I mean, I'm sure there's a tater tot factory or giblets. Trust me, if you've been down to Oklahoma, you know what I'm talking about.
It's there.
I've been where I've seen on the menu. I'm not making this up. I talked to Henry Burris about this because he's an Oklahoma guy. On the menu at this diner, and trust me, it was just a freak show. It looked like the Dukes of Hazzard. Was it Uncle Jesse?
It was Uncle Jesse.
There was an Uncle Jesse guy there who was selling knives.
Kind of looked like Sean Levine with a beard.
Yeah, but
Uncle Jesse was a lot thinner.
Well, he was a little more useful. But I look at the menu, and it says meat sandwich.
There wasn't anything in front of the meat part, like 4 letters or anything.
So like, hey y'all, okay, what can I get for you? Yes, the meat sandwich.
What was the meat?
What meat are we talking about?
I'm sure it was.
She goes, like meat, like pork. Could you say pork sandwich? She going with or without tater tots? Without. Do you want giblets? Giblets. That's like the intestines and the heart and the liver. That's a lovely sandwich. Yeah. That's Oklahoma for you. Yeah. So if you're choosing Oklahoma to stay, I mean, they have to make it very nice for you because you're going to lose out on what I think is substantial monies. So just to back it up where we started this conversation in how you build a franchise, a lot of people are going to say in the management of it, so starting with ownership on down, if you have consistency of message, so everything you do is relatively regimented. So if we're talking about the Leafs, because we started the conversation with that, Lou Lamoriello has come in and just sewn this thing up so tight, whether it's facial hair, and sometimes the availability of players to go out and earn money via signings.
Big time lockdown. Yeah, you're right.
Sponsorships.
Yeah, you're right.
So if you're doing that, why would you come here?
That's
unless they're going to make it up
question.
Unless they're going to make up on the other side. Because now I got a problem saying, well, I know you pay me $5 million, but I can make an extra maybe $500,000 doing this.
Do you think that's maybe a reason why Steven Stamkos ultimately decided at the last second to stay in Tampa Bay, because maybe he wasn't going to be the poster of Nike or Gatorade or maybe Canadian Tire or Sports Check or you name the company.
So then I guess Don Meehan has got to go to Lou and say, what? We can't have Stamkos socks? We can't have,
exactly.
We can't, the TD Bank can't have Stamkos checks?
Bingo. Yeah. Stamkos section in the building.
Yeah. So, but then the argument, I guess, if you're Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, is saying, well, we're giving you $8 million a year.
Yeah.
Do you really need the extra 250, the extra 300? But I think it's the point of it, and I just wonder, as you look, as this team goes further, and you can do. I think when you're under 25, it's yes or no, sir. Right? Mm-hmm. Aren't you? If you're Mitch Marner,
there's a lot of yes or no sirs on this team.
I think there would be. But if you're Steven Stamkos, are you coming into a situation where you're saying, "What I got to do?" No. It makes no sense now talking about Steven Stamkos in a Leaf jersey.
No, but it was an example, right? Yeah. Because even this offseason.
John Tavares. What about John Tavares then?
Bingo. John Tavares is coming up. Even in this offseason, there's a dangling free agent in Russia named Ilya Kovalchuk. He has a relationship with Lou Lamoriello. Does Ilya Kovalchuk look at what he's seen here in the NHL playoffs in this season and go, okay, that's a team for me? Or does he look at the background and say, well, there may not be this opportunity, but as a company, do you want Ilya Kovalchuk on the front of your beer can or coffee mug or something of that nature? There's a lot of things that go into deciding where you're going to actually live. I think a lot of it is first and foremost family. Is this where you want to be with your family?
That's why I think Steven Stamkos, there's a couple of reasons why they thought he would come here. Obviously, with his Macedonian background, all the Macedonians that live here, his parents are up in, for those watching, if you know the Markham area, just north of Toronto, he's going to be coming home to a degree. But from what my understanding is, for his, I don't know if I'm calling her fiance, but a relatively serious girlfriend. She's American.
Yes.
You want
from the Tampa Bay, Florida area.
So you cough that up. Yachts, coconut oils,
tax free,
ocean,
rum.
You're going to give all that up and come here for the tax situation, the charming winters that we have here. Not that they're oppressive, but when you don't have any. And people think, well, that family life doesn't come into it. Family life is a huge decision, I think, for
it's
people.
An enormous one. The other thing, too, is, and I know we're kind of looking at it right now here in the month of April, but Lou Lamoriello's contract is very close to expiring. Are the Leafs going to extend? Lou's not a young guy anymore. How long does he want to stay part of organized hockey? Is he ready for retirement? I personally think they're going to re-up him if he wants to re-up. There's a relationship there between Brendan Shanahan and himself dating back decades, but eventually Lou won't be here. When Lou isn't here, are the rest of the situations that we talked about, do they loosen up a little bit?
I think that if they're smart and they are smart. There's nothing that, to me, in this organization looks like it's been half-assed. Then I think probably you want to maintain the integrity of what was started. And there are some teams and examples that I've always talked about that have been able to do that over years. You wonder why and how, even though the faces change. Obviously, rosters change. It's professional sports. You're not young forever. But the ones that seem to continually win, they're the ones that keep similar faces. San Antonio Spurs, they're one of them. Obviously,
Yes.
New England Patriots, they're another one. In its day, I think you could argue the Detroit Red Wings were that kind of organization. So are you going to see that kind of thing continue with the Toronto Maple Leafs? Well, they've certainly got a start in foundation of that kind of thinking philosophically. I don't think you'll lose that. I think you're going to have to bring in someone who obviously is going to be younger, but I think he's got to toe that kind of line. Does it loosen a little bit? I think probably even generationally, it probably has to.
It probably does.
It probably has to.
And I think we're looking at a guy that's already in the organization that will take over. The baton will be handed over. I think it's Mark Hunter. I don't think Kyle Dubas is there quite yet. Kyle Dubas is younger.
Kyle Dubas goes out with Russell
well,
to...
I was just going to make that reference.
To the soda shop with...
So I think that guy is in the organization. But when you look at everything that's happened with the Maple Leafs as fast as it happened, the MVP of this franchise right now is Brendan Shanahan because he's done everything right.
Okay.
From getting that coach to getting that general manager, the luck of the draw of the first round pick with Austin Matthews, because you know how close that was. Winnipeg and Toronto were sitting there on the pedestal, and the card comes up, Toronto Maple Leafs. That could have been Austin Matthews, Winnipeg Jets.
So, Lion, are you happy the fact that he...
Ecstatic.
Yeah. It's just they're different kinds of players.
It's a different type of player, but you know what? To tell you the honest truth...
but he's a stud, too, so...
Liney's going to win Rocket Richard Trophy winners awards, where Austin Matthews is probably going to be competing with a Connor McDavid for an Art Ross.
Yeah.
So I don't think you go wrong with 1 and 2.
Okay, so if we're taking a look at, basically how the playoffs to this point have gone.
Yes.
If you're Calgary and you're taking a look at that exit like you did.
You're disappointed as hell.
You're disappointed, but the only thing I would say, Dave, in talking about their goaltending, you were spinning the wheel every couple of nights, or maybe someone would get a streak, on exactly how well they were going to play. I don't think any team in this league, especially at this time of year, can honestly say if they have to think about which guy's going in, I don't think you can win. I don't think you're winning.
You have to have that number one. There's no such thing as a goalie rotation in the playoffs.
I don't like the 1-1-A thing. I don't believe. I mean, can it work? I suppose it does.
I think the last time we saw that, and this is dating us,
to win a trophy.
The New York Rangers winning a trophy with John Van Beesbroek and Mike Richter.
Right.
Those guys almost went 40, 42, 35, 40. It was close. It was tight. And you sit there and you look at that and you go, okay. And then all the winners throughout the years have that number one goalie. We're even seeing it right now in these playoffs. St. Louis Blues and Jake Allen have been outstanding. Jake Allen might be the best goalie of this postseason. Frederik Andersen with the Leafs, Braden Holtby with the Washington Capitals, Pekka Rinne with the Nashville Predators. Everybody has that one guy. Calgary didn't have that situation this year because you sat there and you went, it was supposed to be Brian Elliott's, but all of a sudden Chad Johnson steals that net and had it for a while before Elliott got it back in March. It was a long time. Now I looked at that and thought, okay, Brian Elliott's a starter, but is Brian Elliott the number one guy solidified that you're going to cement this decision? And I don't think the answer is yes.
There's years where I look at Craig Anderson and what he has done on various teams where he was part of sort of a 1 and a 1A. You never quite knew
good example.
It'd be good because I'll tell you what, in this league, if you're seen as the 1A, if you're seen as a number 2 in this league, good luck trying to convince any team in the league that you're actually a number 1. I think to a degree you could argue that he's done that.
Yeah,
because I think Colorado. So.
Yeah, Colorado, and then he had his hiccups with the Ottawa Senators at the beginning of his career with the Senators. Then he signed that contract extension. He was in place. I think they like what they had there, and I think this year even with his wife with the cancer situation and how terrible that is, he even battled through that, which is remarkable. And you sit there and you go, wow, and to have that in the back of your mind and still play, Ottawa is a pretty sneaky, quiet team that's actually pretty good, even though we may
It's annoying. They're annoying.
hack on them. And
I think they're annoying only because the people we know who like them, they're completely annoying. I don't know if there's anyone on the team I necessarily. I mean, Alfredson kind of bugged everybody unless you were a Senators fan.
Yeah,
and they don't. I mean, Carlson, is a brilliant player.
he's an MVP candidate of the league, not just a top defenseman. That's how good this guy is.
Excellent flow, even though he's cut it a little bit. I'm not big on the hair cutting, but I think he's got that going for him. Hey, who's out looking in going, well, we're not a part of this party? Is Vancouver in that category? Just how far backed up have they gone the other way?
Vancouver is really backed up. Vancouver needs a wholesale change. The Twins can leave at any time they want.
Don't you think it's weird, though? Don't you think even people who aren't necessarily hockey fans here this morning, so they're these twins. They're twins. Swedish twins. Normally you're thinking
something good.
Swedish erotica.
Yeah, bathing suit competition. Yeah.
Vivid.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. Nope.
You're talking male Swedish twins.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Who can't be apart from each other? What are you fucking serious? Are they afraid? Is there a nightlight somewhere? Are there bunk beds? Like it weirds me out.
And they kind of look weird too, eh?
And the ones, well, I was screaming at Hank out of my lungs. He actually said that. I screamed out of my lungs. No, you didn't, because nobody does. That's literally impossible. What you just said. And these guys, they can't be split up.
No,
like I get it when you're 12.
Yeah, you don't want to leave your little brother.
They're 57.
Well, they're 37, 38. Yeah.
But would you take them on? Are you interested? Like where's that fit?
A contending team, they have to come cheap.
Okay, if we're getting close to the entry draft, which you can certainly start talking about.
Sure.
Those that
then the great thing about this too is, Mike, is not only entry draft, but Las Vegas selects their team. So eventually people are going to be saying, okay, don't take this guy, and we'll give you this, and we'll do this. I mean, there's going to be busy. There's going to be a lot of that going on. We haven't seen this in a while. It's going to be fun.
And if the Vegas guys aren't paying attention, they're going, what are you kidding me? Swedish twins? We're Vegas. This is the best thing that's ever happened to our team. Who is going to be the attractive girl that maybe people are expecting on their own team that you're going to give up? And I'll give you an example. What about JVR? Are you going to get more value down the road, or is this the highest you're going to get for him like today?
Yeah.
In terms of his value.
Still has a year left on his contract. Right. It's very affordable at 4.25.
But that's dealable. And look, I love
29 goals this year. It's hard scoring in this league. Top goal scorer was in the 40s.
What would you get? Like, do you deal now when it's of high value, or do you wait a year and see if that 29 goes down to even a 22?
Sure. Yeah. See, and then that's the thing, though, because trade deadline of next year, so next year, March, end of February, is when your breakdown is. He has to be gone by that day, or you risk losing him for nothing.
For nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, between now and then, does that become a piece? And what do you think of Boyle? Was it even worth? Was it worth it?
You know what? They didn't give up much, but I got to be honest with you. I was expecting more.
Yeah. I think. Well, I know they were.
If such a, even last night's game, a defensive zone faceoff that he loses cleanly. I mean, when you looked at the two centermen lined up, Boyle looked like he was 4 feet taller than his. I mean, he's that big. I mean, he's 6'7", and then he puts skates on, Mike.
He looked like that Puerto Rican kid that said he was 11. Remember in the Little League World Series?
And the Little League World Series, yes.
He had a mustache. He ended up being like 25. It was like, there's little Pedro and Manuel and Jorge. Yes, I ain't 12. Well, you're not.
You drove to the game, Jorge.
It's like disturbing, like Greg Oden's pictures on the internet. By the way, don't look it up.
No, don't look it up.
If you haven't looked it up, Russell, for the love of God, don't look up Greg Oden pictures today. Not unless, I don't know, you're in the meat packing business. I don't know. I don't know what the analogy is on that one. It's just no. I mean, if you have think about it. Grade 12, 13.
That'd be fun though, eh? Do you think about that? If you're sitting there and you're 20 years old throwing against 12-year-old batters.
You're going in there. You're 12 years old. You're 13. It's like everyone in the showers. They're like, we'll wait.
Okay, no, I'm not.
Holy shit, we'll wait.
I'm talking about.
It's like going to the Kentucky Derby. Like honestly, don't make us shower at the same time. We feel insignificant and bad enough at the age of 12 or 13. We don't need Peter North going in there and having a shower while we're trying to get clean.
That's true.
You'd never feel clean. We are broadcasting from Pacific Junction. This is the studio that we have that is so exciting. Eventually, as we move on, you'll find out that we actually have 3 studios that we can broadcast from. And one of them, we have the possibility of broadcasting in 360. Surround, which means if you got the virtual reality masks,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, you can be in studio with us. And if we have some of the bands that we're talking about, they go in studio. I mean, would you like to see Metallica? Want to be in studio with Metallica when they come in? That's what we're talking about. We do have that availability. So we're working that as well. And, of course, as you can see, and sometimes when we have the wide shot, we've got the availability to broadcast from a rooftop as well, which is pretty cool.
And we're getting close to that weather, too.
We're getting very close to that weather in and around the country. And, of course, as we mentioned, south of our border, our friends in Chicago, Boston, Los Angeles, even our friends in Columbus, which Kevin, we occasionally get, obviously, a tweet from him. And you can catch up with us Twitter-wise. So it's Mike Richards at Raw Mike Richards. You can do that as well. And, of course, Dave, your handle now is?
Yeah, just David Bastel. At David Bastel.
Just going straight David
Just
Bastel.
going straight David Bastel,
It's, it's nice that you would do that.
Hey, you know what? People have a hard enough time spelling Bastel.
No one's close.
No. E's and I's and extra
Remember
vowels. And
that loser voice that we had when the other
yes.
And now coming up, it's Dave Bastille. And then you told the producer guy, no, it's Bastille. And he said, well, Bastille. Oh, you tell me how to pronounce my name now?
That's the exact conversation I had.
No, it's it's my family. I know how to pronounce my own name.
And you know what? They like, you know, when you're not sure about things, what do? You ask people maybe? Is that a good way of going at it? Look, hey, how do you pronounce your name, little Johnny? It's like, well, it's Yanni.
Unless you know, it's like Grapes the other night was going, and here's Nylander. And you keep going at it. Hey, Nylander knows what he's doing. Hey, great kid. I'm like, it's Grapes. He can say what he wants.
Yeah, you could do whatever. Yeah, he has the authority to do that. Yeah, but so I'm having the argument with the guy saying, no, it's Bastel. It's like Bastel. And he kept on screwing it up. It's like, how stupid are you?
Bastel.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
That's it.
Russia's Bastille Day. It's not.
Oh, I get that joke once a year. Hilarious.
Whoa!
Never get tired of that.
You know, speaking of getting tired of things, do we really need to all... Now, look, I know my friends in Calgary are going to say, Mike, you're not talking about the Sea of Red. The Sea of Red's pretty cool because everyone who wears those jerseys in Calgary, in the Saddle Dome, and I'm still going to be sad. When they change the Saddle Dome up, it's going to break my heart.
That's going to be weird.
A lot of great memories in there.
Yes.
And the NMAX, the flame that comes on when they score a goal.
That you could feel it anywhere in the building.
On your face. Like if Johnny Hockey goes crazy, you can come out of there with no eyebrows. Like it's that warm.
I sat in the upper deck. One of my first times in Calgary, sat in the upper deck, and I wasn't ready for it. And all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, whoa,
because it's way too close.
It is.
Like I'm sure. Hey, it's the West, man. I don't know if there's necessarily, Stu Laird and the firefighters are going there and saying, I don't think you can do that. Ah, what the fuck? Oh, and I just think that, looking out, see, there's another road trip we got to do.
Yeah, Calgary.
Stampede's
Never
good.
get tired of Calgary.
Stampede's good. We're also thinking about maybe going out to Winnipeg.
Okay.
Which would be a lot of fun.
That's good times, too.
But honestly, we're looking at Chicago, getting down to that entry draft, and I don't know necessarily if this is in terms of game changers, I suppose. Mm-hmm. This is not a Connor McDavid. This is not an Austin Matthews. This is not a Lion A. What are we looking at? And if we're greatness in terms of those that can change franchises around, does it really have the kind of weight that we've seen the last couple of years? Because every year can't have that.
No, it isn't. It's kind of quiet. It'll be interesting because then you always have that scenario where you're not sure who picks number one. It's supposed to be the Colorado Avalanche, but in Vancouver, if they have the luck of the lottery, they might get in there too. You'll get a nice player, but you're not going to get what you've got in the last number of years. We've been spoiled, to tell you the honest truth, where you look at this past draft with Matthews and Line A and even going down, and then even before that with Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel, which is a very, very good franchise piece for the Buffalo Sabres. I know a lot of people in Buffalo sat there and went, oh, we lost out. Yeah, you lost out on McDavid, but Jack Eichel's a fantastic piece, but yeah, no, it's one of those situations where the piece will be suitable. His name is Nolan Patrick. A lot of people might remember Steve Patrick and his brother James Patrick, the defenseman, both out of Winnipeg. Nolan Patrick plays for the Brandon Wheat Kings, a really good program with Kelly McCrimmon when he was there. Now Kelly's the assistant general manager with the Las Vegas franchise of the NHL. So it's a nice piece. I don't know if it's the kind of piece that you pencil it in for October 1st when the season starts in 2017 and away we go. But it will be a foundation piece for a team that desperately needs them. And there's a couple teams that are in that kind of situation.
You know what's really interesting when you get a chance to actually go to an entry draft? You get to see the families there. So you actually get to see the family makeup. And it does very much sometimes feel like a graduation. And to a degree, I guess it is. I mean, you're going from, playing the more or less with kids into progressing into, being a young man, then going, and moving on as a professional. But the other thing that seems to be really apparent these days, and it's funny, Sudsy, who's just out there, I think he's drinking the free alcohol here in the bar.
Already, eh?
That in the day, you could be from a small town. You could be from Middle Prairies. You could be from who knows where. Small town Ontario. You're playing up in the ponds in northern Quebec. You're like Sidney Crosby, and you're playing river hockey. The guys that are coming up now, in their ability to actually make it to the show. And by the way, that's like your odds when you start. And I had to research for that book a couple of years ago. It's 2.5%. That's your chance of making it. So you literally have a 98% chance of not making it. But in order to make it, can you come from small town Canada? Can you come from small town USA anymore? Or do you have to do what seems to be the predominant thinking, which is my family's got to have money, and we got to move to an area that's got AAA. And when we go to AAA, that means all the off-ice training that they go through all year round. That means all the tournaments that we go to. That means some of these prep schools that you end up going to. It seems endless to actually make it to the NHL. You do one thing. You're not playing soccer. You're not playing baseball. You're not playing lacrosse like a lot of the guys. You are literally functioning only to make it to the NHL, and your family's coming with you. So in order for your family to do that, Dave, and you want to move from Cobourg to Oakville, or you're moving from wherever you are to the larger city and playing for some of these prep schools in order to be noticed.
Yes.
Because in these drafts, I don't see these kids coming from small towns anymore. They're coming from AAA organizations. In order to do that, entire families are literally sacrificing their lives because a lot of the sisters that are coming along, the little daughters in that family, the other young boys who don't necessarily play AAA hockey, they're coming along for that ride whether they like it or not. It's a huge sacrifice. It seems to take money, and I just wonder, are we getting to a point where that story of playing on the pond
doesn't exist anymore?
Maybe it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's so true too. Like you have a number of examples. I have a lot of people in our family that are kind of getting to that stage of 10, 11, 12 where because they just finished their AAA tryouts just this last week, and the cost of it is just phenomenal. And it's not just the equipment. We're not talking about the $300 sticks and the different color helmets for home and away games, which is total BS. We're talking about the rental of the ice, the paying of the coaches now. I mean, paid coaches for 12-year-old hockey. You ever play for a coach that was paid when you were 11, 12 years old?
No.
I don't know. It just, you kind of sit there and you go, okay, so college money is now dedicated to my 11-year-old that is good enough to play at a AAA level? So,
it's just such a gamble at the risk of the dismantling of family. And you see it more and more as the years go on, where it becomes so specialized that I think the burnout factor we're going to see for some of these kids who play at that level is going to start getting higher. I mean, I know it was a couple of years ago he finally makes it, and I think it was a Columbus pick, and he just said, I can't play anymore. I don't want to play anymore. And I can see why that would happen. But look at even like an Austin Matthews, for instance. You couldn't describe a more different way of making it to the NHL from where he was born, where he came from. So desert. He didn't see ice as a kid because there wasn't any. I think it was that prefab weird plastic stuff he skated on.
Yep.
So you're going to go from there to, of course, that old let's go to Arizona, mom's Mexicana, and then I'm going to move to Switzerland. Look, it's just, and by the way, and then become almost like the best player. Well, you could argue one of the best players of his generation.
Yes, and was the best player outside of the NHL when he was playing in the Swiss League for Mark Crawford.
But that wasn't free.
No, but we're even talking about the development stages prior to these 6 or 7 years of his, as soon as he turned double digits, and I mean the cost. And I'm just guessing here because
it's between what I would say probably at least depending on where you live, you're writing a check for at least $8,000.
I was gonna say 10. Yeah,
between $8,000 and $10,000, you're writing that check.
And then when you get older, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include the tournaments. That doesn't include travel and hotels when you go and play the schedules that you do. And let's face it, when talking with guys like Pierre Maguire, and when you go to some of those schools in the Eastern Seaboard in that Connecticut, Massachusetts area, I mean, you're going to some of these prep schools. You're going to, some of these elite schools, and Notre Dame certainly out in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, yep.
None of these things are free. So you're. I don't know. I think you're getting to a point where that burnout factor, I think you're going to see more and more of it in the NHL. I just wouldn't be surprised.
Kind of disappointing, too. Really, really disappointing when you continually hear guys like Wayne Gretzky sit there and say, you know what? In the summer, you got to play baseball. You got to play soccer. You got to do golf. You got to try these things. Lacrosse. I mean,
how many sports did you play as a kid?
Oh,
them all, right?
Man,
Basically them all.
Everything from track to curling to baseball, football, golf, anything. Like I got
to try curling.
Curling's a lot of fun.
I got to try it.
A lot of people look at that and say, old man curling. It's like, no, it's...
None of them now.
I know. No,
like Gushu and all those guys? No, none of those guys.
They look like they're triathletes, some of these guys.
Johnny Moe?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's not doing good at the rink. Trust me, he's doing good at the rink. If you're watching Johnny Moe, come on.
He's doing really good, period. He's a firefighter, too.
And, if they close the bar, I realize the sport's over. No one's playing.
Right.
no one's curling if there's in a bar. One guy said, I don't think the curling should be in the Olympics because if there's a sport that my dad can be in and win a medal, it shouldn't be in the Olympics. But there's a lot of that. Let's face it. Also want to thank once again our good friends at Eggplant, where we're broadcasting from. They're actually the facilities here at Pacific Junction in Henry's. That is Canada's greatest camera store. So as we move along, you're going to see
our man Rod.
Yeah.
Rod's the dude.
Yeah, Rod was in here.
Rod's awesome.
But Rod does well too, I think. I'm just saying.
Rod has the hair.
You know what?
Rod's almost like an older Ron Duguay.
And he reminds me of a guy who, if he had an English accent, he probably managed a few bands now and then. So,
yes.
Mick and
okay, I can see that. That's a different angle than Ron Duguay I was taking. But
well, both do well.
Yeah.
Speaking of doing well, not to bring up something sad, but the New York Jets, they will be picking.
No, that's sad.
They'll be picking sixth this year.
Sixth, yeah.
Now, will they be there in full force in Philadelphia?
Yeah, they will.
Booing.
It's
booing every pick.
It's an easy train ride to Philadelphia. Yeah, they will, and they'll have some competition because, as you know, Philadelphia fans used to travel to New York all the time too, right? I mean, we don't have to pull out the Donovan McNabb selection and the course of boos that happened when they arguably selected their greatest quarterback ever outside of Randall Cunningham. But I'm just saying.
It will not be a quarterback. We talked about this. So the first quarterback they think that they'll see, at least this is just a scout's sort of look at where they believe some of these guys will show up. But they think that, no, you have to get down to, is it North Carolina? Where's he from?
Yeah, Mitch.
Trubisky.
Yes.
So they've got him in the top 30, but just barely. And Deshaun Watson out of Clemson, who obviously on national television and what he was able to do.
A lot of airtime.
Like, how do you ignore that? The only problem I always have is that, with those that leave early, and that's everybody. I mean, NCAA basketball with the one and done to me has just in some ways devastated a lot of the programs to be consistent year after year. That's fine if you're Kentucky. If you're Coach Cal, and I think they're probably getting all the four-star athletes anyway. But the ability to have these teams that, produce these players that, for lack of a better term, once they become pro, they're pro ready because they're also, mature adults that easily can, adapt to the game. Because I honestly think right now with the NBA, it takes a couple of years for these guys, for most players, to actually grow into the young men that their coaches want them to be. In the NFL, sometimes, I'll take a look at a Deshaun Watson. What is the expectation? Well, right now in the NFL, you ain't getting that clipboard anymore. You don't get this baseball cap on backwards and get to learn from some veteran. That veteran might only be 2 or 3 years older than you. Not like in the day where you could sit there because, trust me, being on the sidelines, learning from a veteran, some time in the press box isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I think those days are over. If you're Deshaun Watson, depending on where you'd end up, what if you're watching from the sidelines for a couple of weeks and then you're in?
Mm-hmm.
So was Clemson a pro-style, ready offense that you can just take it? Like Jameis Winston at Florida State, they ran pro-style offense. So as much as people wanted to make moral and ethical, comments about, his maturity,
and he's turned out better than I thought he was. To tell you the truth,
because Dave, that's what they played as Seminoles. That was the style of offense. So it was probably, put it this way, it was easier, I think, for Jameis Winston to step in and play a pro style offense than it was Marcus Mariota coming out of Oregon in the freak show, up tempo, read offense where you're running a play every 22 seconds. It doesn't translate necessarily to the pro game. We'll just ask Chip Kelly how that's gone so far. That I thought Marcus might have a tougher time. I mean, he's turned out to be a nice pro, but
a very good pro.
But Jameis Winston, to his credit, was pro ready.
Yeah, he was pro ready, and I think he's getting better and better. I think they're going to even add the Bucs might be one of those surprise teams that finish like 9-7 this year. I almost look at they're knocking on the door of a playoff, and Marcus Mariota might be leading a team that's good enough to win that division. That's how good he's become. But as far as quarterbacks this year, Mike, I don't think you have that guy anywhere in this year's draft that's going to step up and go. If you're looking a little bit further down in 2018,
for 75 years.
Sorry.
No problem. If you're looking at 2018, you're looking at a battle of two quarterbacks between Josh Rosen of UCLA and Sam Darnold of USC. They are projected to be that Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf type of, and I'm not trying to make a joke here about Ryan Leaf, but guess what? When that draft was underway, Ryan Leaf was a very close second in that selection where San Diego decided, okay, we missed on Peyton Manning because we had number 2, but Ryan Leaf will be almost as good as Peyton Manning. That didn't quite work out. I realize that, but you're looking at a competition next year at 1 and 2, which always makes it a little more exciting.
And I think being in the industry, that's the only thing I miss is the crazy talk. The full-on meltdowns. These guys now coming out, they don't have that anymore.
No.
It's very few.
It's almost like it's an anti-Ryan Leaf training.
It's like, leave me alone! No, I don't hear that from the... You know how Andrew Luck talks like Buffalo Bill from why am I drawing a blank on the...
Yeah, you got me there.
Why am I drawing a blank? Hannibal Lecter.
Okay.
Why am I Russell, you... Oh, no. You couldn't get into the movies. I'm drawing a blank. He's got that, is she a rugby fat person kind of way of talking. Andrew looks at like a real Cro-Magnon kind of way. Like, I like Andrew Luck.
Sure.
And his intelligence, like he went to Stanford.
He's off the chart.
He went to Stanford.
Yeah.
But he has that kind of a, wait a minute, was she a real big fat person? Or, you know the one I'm talking about? Why am I drawing a blank on Buffalo Bill? Did the dance where the wiener goes between the legs and Jodie Foster? Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs. How can I forget that?
I'm sorry, man.
Even Russell knew that. By the way, Christian McCaffrey, out of
Yes.
speaking of Stanford, it will be interesting to see where he goes and just how good he's going to be. I mean, here's a guy who's under 6 feet. But he's one of those guys. I mean,
I'm getting like 5 tweets. Silence of the Lambs, idiot.
I know.
It's like, I'm sorry.
Fuck? I mean,
I'm sorry. I haven't watched that movie in 15 years?
Probably watched it last night. Just bad things happen. This is what happens when I don't drink enough.
Getting a lot of Twitter love too, by the way. Keep it coming, by the way.
Yeah, we've got to.
And thanks for dropping by on show number 1.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And again, some of the the characters that will show up. We got to figure out technically how all that stuff works. People are like, is Bob Cole going to show up?
It's coming.
Like, well,
of course he
well,
is.
he can right now. And Cole, last night in Ottawa, they were going at it. They wanted to win, and they did. And they beat that Boston team with that goalie, that tall goalie, Milos Raonic. He can make some saves, but not enough. And Ottawa's going on in the Leafs. Oh, baby. You don't think they wanted to win?
They did.
They did want to win. They said last night, it's going to overtime, and someone's going to win. Yeah, so we'll figure out all that stuff later. And again, just the drinking part of it.
Yeah. Henry's professional services.
Yeah,
that's your guy right there.
Yeah, and of course, so we'll have it set up. So when we go on the remotes, we'll be able to have it sort of standardized. So when we come to your town, let us know. If you want us to come to town, we will definitely do that. We have guests that are coming, not necessarily today, but later on the week.
Okay.
We've got some interesting guests coming up. And should we do the
mystery?
Should we do the mysterious gift now? Suds, can he hear us? Again, it's a little delayed. It's a little delayed. Okay. Because I understand that some Hall of Famer on our very first day has decided that they are going to, or they have sent a gift somehow.
Oh, really?
So that's very exciting.
Interesting.
So we're very excited about that. I mean, it is the Raw show. I know we haven't been all that raw yet, but just cut us some slack here. Yeah. And we like the fact that we're down by the people. Although some of these people I wouldn't let within 500 feet of my property. It would be full on Clint Eastwood.
See, we're on the King East side of things, and East is it's not as good as the West.
Is it sketchy?
It's a little sketchy.
It's a little sketchy.
It's okay. I mean, you run across many different gentlemen and ladies that are heading off to George Brown here, just down the way.
Yeah, George Brown around the corner.
Yeah, it's a location that is better than anything else out there. I'll tell you. As far as what's happening in the city, and you'll probably see the odd streetcar rip by once in a while.
No, this is pretty good. You know, someone said, "Why are you wearing the Raiders cap?" No, because I kind of like it, and I think how strange that for us thinking of professional sports, well, here in Canada, the last thing that we could think of were the Las Vegas Posse, where they practice in a parking lot, and then that freak sang the national anthem. The Canadian national anthem, like it was Christmas Tree.
He was terrible, eh?
Yeah,
I still remember that.
Dennis Casey Parks. Oh Canada, oh Canada. I was like, and he just looked. He had the weird Siegfried and Roy face and the
posse was the birth of Anthony Calvillo.
Anthony Calvillo came out of that.
The greatest quarterback ever.
But they're like, how are you supposed to play football? You know, I mean, got to play at night.
Sure,
because it's like 110, 120 degrees on the field.
And it would have been even better if it was like 12 midnight, 1 in the morning, because of how hot it actually is in Vegas.
It is. So now you're going to have an NHL franchise in Vegas and an NFL team in Vegas.
Wonder what they're going to do with that, though.
Does it work?
I think it can. I mean,
look, Western Canada and the disease that Vegas is for those in Southern Alberta and Calgary, where they just can't. You say Vegas to people, they can't concentrate. Yeah, their eyes get all glassy. They're all weirded out by exactly. Did someone say Vegas? Because they'll be going down in droves. Yeah. But will locals? I mean, real locals. Do they care about, as they would say, ice hockey? I don't know.
Ice hockey. I don't like it when they say ice hockey.
No, ice hockey weirds me out.
You know what? It's one of those things too. Is Vegas? I think will welcome hockey right off the top because it's brand new. Vegas will welcome the NFL because it's the NFL. Period. So I'll be very curious to see what Vegas does with hockey if you and I are talking about this in 5 years.
But here's the problem. I mean, seriously, think about it. So you're sitting there, and there's whatever they announced the crowd to be. Let's say it's 17,000 or something. And here comes, oh baby, here comes Malkin and shoots, scores, and guys have got their tickets going. Fuck! No!
A lot of prop players out there, or what?
Shooting the empty net. No, empty net's gonna go under. Ark! Because it's like you're not gambling as the game is going on.
It's true. In play. Like, it's the way to do it.
It's what's going to happen. It's like, and it is, let's face it. I mean, it's a paradise for some of us. The sports book, just that whole thing. Oh, do we have? Maybe I have some music here. As is this the gift that is coming from a Hall of Famer? Is that what I understand? Well, let's go to gift music.
Now it's time to play
Oh.
everyone's favorite game show.
Oh, it's game show.
Watch it or bet it.
Well, it's not watch it or bet it, but I would bet that it is time for, by looking at the glasses, young Scott Sutherland has brought us in. Oh, that's a tall glass too,
Yeah,
with
it
little
is.
footballs on it, which
And
is very fitting.
basketball.
So what do I have? It is a bottle of Ruffino Prosecco. It is bubbly.
Yes.
So we can open that up. And who is this from? Who actually sent this?
Doug Gilmore.
Doug Gilmore,
Doug
ladies
Gilmore,
and gentlemen.
okay.
Doug Gilmore has just
All right.
sent us some. What's the matter? Champagne, no good.
Way to go, Dougie.
He has to give us the Prosecco. Don't hurt yourself, Doug Gilmore, Hall of Famer, watching from his pool. Yeah, thanks very much.
He's going to join us here one day.
Yeah, yes, he's going to
Good.
come in.
I'll
He's-
make sure my brother isn't around for that one.
Yeah, there's a weird story with
Yeah,
him,
that
too.
is weird. And he actually remembers it
Oh,
too.
no, he remembers.
Which is the hilarious
Like
part
there
of
almost
it.
was a fight. and your brother Mike was.
My brother's a foot taller than Doug.
What a nice pour that is.
That's,
Buddy, it's not root beer. You don't just hammer it in
Yeah,
like that.
that might be right in front of my camera
That
too.
is
but-
that's okay. As we now for the moment of the show we've all been waiting for, us drinking, because this will be the raw part of the show. But we appreciate Doug Gilmore. Oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure if we go down to Chicago, we'll be joining us. That is one of his
Good.
one of his very favorite spots to go. We hope to be down there as well, so that'll be a lot of fun. Actually, there's a lot of interesting sort of guests that will be coming up. He's just one of them. But we've got a lot of, as we move along.
His
with the
Kingston
show.
team is out of the OHL playoffs right now, eh?
They got knocked out by a really good Peterborough Pete team.
Yes, because Peterborough's in with Mississauga right now. So that's, you know what? We talk about NHL playoffs. OHL playoffs are so exciting. So fun, too. I remember even last year going to the Generals games with you, and we saw
That was
that
great.
final against the Otters, or a couple seasons ago, I guess. Yeah, I'm losing track of time here, but man, good times, good times.
With Kyle Douglas with that time.
That's
That was
right.
good. Well, here's
Man.
cheers to those of us who are drinking in studio, and to you joining us here on the debut of. Here it is. There we go. Big boy. That music was shit. I don't like. Russell, thanks for that. That was a terrible choice. As we're now fully drinking. How much percent? That was also ripping us off. Like it's hardly just like a glass of orange juice that's going on here.
That's
Well, let's
bartender.
let's try that again with the. Here's the music back. Look, there's look. It's not Somalia. I mean, we got stuff here. There we go. That's how we do it. There's an Irish boy right there. Lovely, lovely. No, trust me, there'll be some shows where we're hammered. You know that's happening. You know what? The first guest that I tried to get in here, Sasha Gray.
And she said,
Well, we're still waiting.
okay. Well,
Did you ever see when she was on Entourage? She was good.
It is
She
11.
was really good.
It is 11 o'clock, so
Yeah, she's,
it's-
11
everything's,
o'clock our time,
everything's
as-
legal. Yeah.
As we record this.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, this is available on all platforms. And so if you've got iTunes, if you go to rawmikerichard.com, subscribe, because that certainly helps us out, build the fan base that way with the Richards Army, which, of course, we always appreciate. And are there things like the Hateful Eight? We'll be doing that as well. You should watch it or bet it. We're going to try to track down one of our very, very good friends for the NFL draft who was huge into watch it or bet it, and very
He
honest
did
with
like
it.
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yes,
was
did.
he was the debut guy.
Yes, he was a Latino, as we like to
Hmm.
say. Yeah. He was tall. And he kept alluding to the fact that he thought he was too wide.
Well, he's
I
not
don't know.
skinny.
He's not-
Yes,
I don't know.
I'm just saying. He did.
We
discover
can't all
the-
be everything.
He did.
That's what I've always said.
But nonetheless,
Nonetheless.
a very familiar guest of this program.
Also, we're also pleased to also feature like a lot of the local bands, as you know, or those watching the podcast or wherever you happen to be. But Laugh at the Fakes was a band that I found about 8-9 months ago. They're excellent, and so our opening song here today
That's them.
is them. Their album. So this is about 8 songs that are on this. Here we go. And so we're probably going to try to get them down here as well. Now,
What's the name of the band again?
Laugh at the Fakes.
I like that name.
See, isn't that good?
Oh, it kind of fits in.
Yeah, this is great stuff too. This is only one of the songs off the 8. Speaking of Hateful Eight, because this is not necessarily happy, fun, friendly music, but this show is none of that. There'll be no, nice stories. I don't think so. The lyrics, once they kick in and actually sing this, it almost sounds like the Scorpions. Like, you wouldn't believe how good this is. So we're going to feature a lot of their music on the show, and I know they have more than that. And, as we said to some of the bands out there, if you are in this genre of music, which means it could knock over buildings. See the double kick in there?
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be on the heavier side of rock, just at the minimum level.
Yeah.
At the minimum level.
This is what I'm listening to if I'm in. Okay, so let's talk about. There you are on a team, and you've got your earbuds in. In the day, it used to be called a ghetto blaster. I guess that's not offensive these days.
No.
What do you mean ghetto blast? Okay, just take it easy. Boombox. That's not good either. Like, I don't know what you call it. But then they would crank and everyone would fight over what music. But now, of course, with the advent of everyone having their own thing. Did you listen to certain kinds of music? See, I didn't. I was a freak. I was in my own head.
See, it depended on what dressing room we were in. But yeah, the radio music box, which it wasn't called back then.
Whatever you call it.
Yeah, it would crank for a certain period of time before coach would come in and go, kaplump, and then start yelling.
Get that shit off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, who's your coach, Burgess Meredith? Get that shit off. Rock.
When Quiet Riot was playing in the background, it's like, I can't believe you listen to this crap. Boom.
Quiet Riot.
Everybody listen to Quiet Riot.
I'd have to, if I did have music, it would be like this. I've never understood the EDM thing. It's not really my thing. What about you, Russell? What are you? What kind of music do you like?
I'm a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything?
Little of everything.
Oh, I bet you just.
There's a little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll.
I bet he gets into some pretty crazy, weird shit. No. I bet you that bedroom of yours probably. That's got to be hosed down. I bet you there's some. Because I think you're one of those guys that comes. I mean, look, Boy Next Door. There's everything to like about him. He does a sensational job for us. And then he goes home late at night, puts on like a clown mask and some lederhosen with no shirt on. I don't know what goes.
Russell, what's going on in there?
Mom, leave me alone. I'm doing a show. The Rupert Pupkin of our show. That's what he is. Coming up this week, as I said, we'll give you a little sort of preview of some of the gaming that we're going to get into, because we will do a lot of our picks.
Which is so surprising that we'd have gaming on our show.
Because I can't believe we don't even have numbers on anything that we would talk about today.
Well, we got some numbers on NBA. If you want to chat some NBA, I could give you some quick rundowns.
I think the Raps now, looking at that.
-6.
C-. Anytime you get over 5.5 for the Raptors, it makes me nervous.
It makes me very nervous. I think the Raptors might win this game, but I got a feeling we're going to see a 7th game. But if it's 6 points, I'm going Milwaukee in the points.
Look, they all showed up, and including and especially DeMar DeRozan, which you need to have, but it's got to happen literally every single game.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at those that need to perform for the team to win, so if I'm talking about a James Harden, or I'm talking about LeBron James, or a Russell Westbrook, or any of those players, if you're not doing that on a regular basis, a team like the Raptors, obviously you've got Kyle there, but I've never understood the use, and Coach Casey, I'm a huge Dwayne Casey guy.
We all are, yep.
I think he's fantastic. I still just don't see enough Jonas Valanciunas for my liking. I think that, in those matchups, are we saying that he still hasn't progressed to the point as an NBA big that I can't see him when he's on that court? Now, they put him in the to come off the bench.
Yes.
And that did work. And if you're trying to get that kind of advantage, I would just like to see more dominance, and maybe as an organization, they're still saying that he hasn't progressed far enough for that.
It's funny too, because we sit there and we harp on him, and we've been doing it for a while, almost like he's in his 30s, but he's not.
He's not.
But I mean, you sit there and you look around the league and you're like, okay, why is this happening, and why isn't it happening here? Because it almost looks like when you're looking at all the sports, your top flight guys will come out of the NFL draft and play right away. your top flight guys in the NHL will come out right away. And Major League Baseball is so slow. So very slow, unless you're like a Mike Trout. NBA, if you have a top flight guy, he's playing right away. Did we misjudge Jonas Valanciunas and think that he was part of that echelon that would come in? And
if you thought that Jonas Valanciunas was coming right out of Lithuania and going to be like a blue chip guy who's going to start, then you were delusional, because that was never going to happen. It takes a long time for an NBA big to get to that point. And I think if you take your time and have the patience, and the organization has the kind of patience, then you're going to find a guy coming from Europe is going to have to learn that game in a similar way to Dirk Nowitzki. But the only problem is every time I hear Dirk's name come up, people are like, "Oh, so you say it's going to be Dirk Nowitzki?" No, I didn't say he's Dirk Nowitzki. I'm saying the time it takes to learn the game as opposed to what you played in Europe.
yeah.
Is completely different. Watch an international basketball game and try to make sense of that. At times it looks like rugby. You can put your head in the cylinder. Like, you can literally put hands in there and they don't call, and it's not going to be called because the rules are different. Like, it's just a weird kind of game. I mean, look at Ricky Rubio. How long it's taken him to be a decent pro, but when do we talk about Ricky Rubio being an upper echelon, bona fide all-star? Like, the translation into the North American pro game is really hard. And so, in taking your time with Jonas Valanciunas, I just thought at some point, I would like to see more to him, but I guess that time's not yet.
See, and then you look at the other side of it with Europeans coming over and dominating right away. How do you explain Tentakumpo?
I'm glad you said the name. And do you see a lot of black Greek guys? Look, I know a lot of Greek people. I've never saw one black guy, like who was coming out on hello, like, I've never seen that. I don't see that in Greektown. I'm not getting lamb.
No,
from my man.
Alas meets.
Alas meets.
Yeah, it's true.
But is there like a black culture over in Greece that I'm unaware of?
I would not know that.
Or is he like the only black guy
I'm guessing
who ever lived in all of Greece?
I'm guessing he's not the only black guy in Greece.
Starting to feel that way, though.
But man, do they love him there, and for good reason.
Well, yeah.
For very good reason.
Did I hear beeping going
Yeah,
on? Yeah,
beeping going off on this camera right in front of us.
Oh, what does that mean?
It probably means that it's got to change a battery.
Battery
or something.
change,
Yeah.
which is always very exciting. We have no way, actually, on today's show to actually... So you're going to have to turn that off, are you?
Yeah, that's okay.
That's what we do here in the show. It's always very exciting. Speaking of excitement, I on the weekend was so happy that I'm actually watching NHL playoffs and barbecuing at the same time, because I got to be honest, it's been a long time since I've done that.
You
And
don't
it's not
barbecue
even-
in the winter, right?
all year long.
I was gonna
but
say,
I've never really felt like the sunshine.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot different
summerish and
feel,
feeling.
right?
It's
when you're sitting out there in January and you're like, and you're not enjoying yourself, because barbecuing, when you have the right meal, it's actually enjoyable to barbecue outside in
the best.
in the warm
It's
air.
the best. Look, there's certain times that indicate, depending on where you live in North America, that means that the summer or summer-ish weather is coming. So if you're north of, I don't know, maybe of the Carolinas, when you see the Masters on, the Masters says to me that summer's coming. You can tell because guys are freaks. When the Masters is on during that whole week up to it and just after, and guys like my father do this all the time, as I'm talking to you, he's so, you know how they get up and they practice, he's,
Yep.
he's
Completely.
practicing the rotation and the whole shoulders. I'm like, what are you doing? We're in a bank. No, nothing. And just kind of, he's doing this. I'm like, Dad. But Masters says to me, just around the corner,
Yeah.
we got some summer coming.
Yeah, Masters means it's almost here.
And
I think it is here
yeah.
now that we're sitting
It's
here
close.
with temperatures in the 20s this weekend.
Kentucky Derby can be that way too.
Coming up.
I've
yeah.
never been. Have you ever been?
No, first Saturday. It's part of that list. I've seen, well, obviously countless Kentucky Derbies when I've gone to the track to bet and so forth, but it's a different experience.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm saying, yeah, you go to the track, do you?
Yeah,
Cigar. I'll take Glue Factory in the 7th. I mean, do you do that kind of stuff?
I used to more than anything.
That
Yeah.
would, because there's something else that gets lost. I mean,
Because you got to remember a lot in here in the city, Woodbine, fantastic.
Oh, it's a great facility.
In Winnipeg, Assiniboia Downs, fantastic. Every single racetrack I've been to has 5-star dining, so you go and you enjoy a monster spread of a buffet, and you watch the greatest race of the year.
Well,
So-
they used to have it, of course, that you can't. There's no like cigar smoking in any of these places now.
No, it's all been kind of
God forbid. No, weed's going to be okay.
Yes.
You know, we're going to give out what was it in Vancouver? We're going to make sure that people have clean needles. Oh, clean needles. You pull it up Romeo and Julieta, like the fucking SWAT team shows up. It's like, hey, cigar smoking. Why is that bad? Cigar smoking all of a sudden. The no fun police come all over you, but yet for some reason it's like, you know, like apparently with medicinal marijuana, which everyone's excited about,
it's the rage.
is like a $100 million industry as at present, but it's going to be like in the billions. So,
Yeah.
like if you want to throw your money into something, why would you?
If
not be
you
putting it into
bought
that?
stocks a couple of years ago,
But isn't that like I'm investing what? Oh yeah, totally. Like we're going to have this farm, and on it's going to be like weed.
you're even allowed to plant in your yard. You know, but you can
What,
only
when
plant
now?
when the law is passed. But you can only plant so many plants in your yard.
Look, I gotta be honest. I know none of that shit. The only thing that the only stuff I know lately is you want to get rushed to the hospital. I get morphine, and I got to tell you, it is yummy. I'm enjoying the more. Yeah, how come we can't have morphine then? You know, if they're doing marijuana and doing everything else, we can't smoke cigars. Why can't like whatever the hookah pipe thing or whatever that's called? I don't even know what I don't really get that thing. People are like, oh, would you like a fruit flavored smoke? No, I don't want.
Was Hank's parents there or what?
I want fruit with my smoke or whatever that is. Just give me smoke. Just a nice, you know, a cohiba would be lovely. Can you not have that? Something from the Dominican. I like that. Russell, do you like cigars?
I love cigars.
See, look at that. Russell's the man. Right there.
That's why he's
Cigars
here.
and hookers. That's what he told me. He's got this fascination with prostitutes, which is outstanding. I don't know what's going on. I think one day we do a show from his room, which would be interesting.
Russell, there's other boys in your room.
Leave me alone! Mommy! No, you don't call her mommy, do you? No, mommy's bad. Mommy's bad in really any reference. Mommy's never good. If you have it, look. If you
I was
have
going
a
to say I can't think of a good reference.
no,
of,
because if you're using that to your significant other, mommy's not good. I've heard mother. That's really bad. That's really bad. I'm not interested in any of that. Taking a look at the upcoming series
yes,
in the NHL, Dave. If we're going to take a look at series that of note in terms of being engaging that you want to watch, and I happen to think if you're NBC, you got to be saying, just bring on Pittsburgh, Washington,
Yeah,
because
thank God for that.
That might be the saving
Yeah.
grace, Dave. Because
for, based on an American sight lines, because I agree with that side of it, ratings wise, and they're gonna come out with these tons of Ovi versus Crosby part 19 and all that kind of great stuff. But if you're looking at the 4 series, I can't wait for Edmonton, Anaheim.
yeah, that would be good.
That's the one I'm looking for.
How
Too.
far can this Connor McDavid team go? Like how far?
Stanley Cup Finals.
They can go all the way to
Yes,
the
they
final.
could. Because I think whoever wins this series is going to knock off the Nashville-St. Louis two-step, whatever you want to call it. I honestly think the Edmonton Oilers are good enough to beat the Ducks right now, and I think the Edmonton Oilers are good enough to beat whoever they face in the conference final, and then we'll see who they're matched up against. I mean, as much as we hack on Edmonton,
No, they're-
occasionally, it's a different Edmonton now, I think. I think Edmonton could actually win a Stanley Cup this year.
Well, and I mean, God bless them too. I mean, look, after getting
It's been tough,
the
yeah.
best young players in the world for the last
Decade.
give or take. And,
We'll draft a forward.
Yeah, I
we'll
mean,
draft a forward.
yeah.
We'll draft a forward. How about defense?
yeah.
Where's the defense?
What does defense man mean? Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Apparently, you don't need it.
Okay, a forward.
But at least now they're getting some goaltending.
they are.
They're getting some goaltending.
Cam Talbot's
Yeah.
been awesome.
Yeah.
7th round pick. 7th round pick is what the Oilers gave up for Cam Talbot. And Cam Talbot has been very, very good.
Now, does Edmonton? Well, yeah, they wore all the again because I got on it beforehand, didn't finish. You know, the crowd all wearing the same color.
Yes, orange.
And what I was going to say in Calgary, where they call it the Sea of Red, the jerseys they wear are the $300 ones.
Yes.
Like, I don't care how much money you make in oil and gas. You're not going to those games in your latest Hugo Boss or Canelli jacket. You look like a fucking loser. Like, no one does that. Nobody does that.
No.
Like, the first game I went to, the first time in Calgary, I'm in a private box, and I'm wearing all my whatever clothes I thought were cool, and they're like, you're not wearing that.
Yeah.
So the one, David grabs me, goes over to right to the concession thing, and they go, yeah, there's a Kippersoft or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I go, well, boom, buys it, $280. You know, the stitching, all the good
Sure,
stuff, and that's
sure.
why it looks so good. But when you wear the T-shirts, and look, the NBA is kind of notorious for this one, so it's a whiteout or whatever. Woo! Do you like it?
Man.
It used to look.
I grew up in the whiteout, though,
But
right?
I think
grew up in the whiteout.
Winnipeg could probably take credit because I think they
They were
started
the first,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
People
And-
might argue, but historically, I got to go back. I got to think the first place was Winnipeg.
Yeah, and then Phoenix tried to steal it, and countless years of not making the playoffs, and it kind of dies out, fades away. I don't know. I think every market has their little thing, but I don't know. Maybe the whiteout really doesn't exist anymore, just because of what we've seen out there, and But when you look at Sea of Red and you look at Orange Crush and Edmonton and so forth, they're relations of what works. Like the We the North thing here with the Toronto Raptors has caught on not only in this city, but in North America. People know We the North. It works.
Here's the only weird thing that I find about it. And you know how racially sensitive everybody is today. I mean, sometimes it's just like always one lit match from being a powder keg of those saying that they believe that you're racist or. But sometimes on the reverse side, it makes me uncomfortable that every single time that the Raptors here in Toronto, where we're broadcasting from, whatever the commercial's related to, if it's basketball, then it's a black guy, and it makes it sound like we're somehow in the Bronx, like, living in the streets of Toronto, we blah blah. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
some of these people in the streets of Toronto have gold shoes. Like, I don't see a lot of that urban feel. Like they show. The nets with the metal meshing,
I don't think I've seen that anywhere.
And they're playing underneath the Gardner Expressway. I'm going, I don't see a lot of basketball games breaking out in the Gardner. It's like, we the North, because up here, what? I don't really.
It's almost like this fake image of what they want.
Well, why? Why? Look, Dylan Brooks, who's going to go in the NBA draft this year, here out of Toronto, played for the Oregon Ducks. He's not talking like somehow he's from some urban center. You talk how you talk. So I don't understand why. To me, does that not make anyone? It makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like, well, that's just as bad as putting on a voice,
right?
I mean, because this image that you have, just be who you are. Because I don't find that being in Toronto that I get to feel like, oh, am I in New York, or am I in inner Boston, or am I in New Orleans? Like, I just never get that feel, and I think it just comes across as a little obvious to me. And if I'm talking about something that racially makes me feel uncomfortable, it's that.
Yeah, you know what? That's a pretty good point too, because I don't think that's what Toronto people see other Toronto people like. And I think you could have used the We the North thing as in, yeah, it's North. It's one of the most northern parts of the NBA.
Like, does Drake talk like that?
No. No, not
Who doesn't? One of of his genre of music, you could argue that maybe one of the biggest in the world.
Yes, right now, yes.
His mom and dad were professional people. He grew up in one of the richest areas of Toronto. He was on Degrassi High, which in some ways, you might want to leave that up the resume. That's not a show I'm bragging about. Seems like a lot of people die in that show too. Isn't that guy Wheels? Didn't he? He cacked. I don't know what happened there.
I'm not familiar. I know the show.
Adam Proto, originally of the Hockey News,
yes,
had a small role in that in a couple of shows.
What did he do?
I don't know. He'll probably have to tell us. He was. I don't know. His name was probably Midge or something. I don't know.
Sold ice cream on the corner.
Yeah, it would have been. It's a non-union show.
Sure.
So basically, when you say non-union, you suck. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It kind of is.
But Drake doesn't go. I mean, look, he's going to sing how he's going to sing. It's the style of music. But I think when he's talking as the ambassador of the Raptors, he's not putting on a voice. I don't know. At times I understand what they do, but We the North. Oh, my father's an English teacher. Not a fan.
Yeah, he didn't.
We the North. No.
I'm going to correct that.
Yeah, we are the North.
We are the North.
Yeah, we are the North. I'd like to thank our good friends at Henry's, of course, Canada's greatest camera store. They have supported us from the very beginning, and as we add to the show and figure out all the elements we want to have on it, you're going to see different angles, you're going to see more cameras, and as I said, this is one of the 3 studios that we can use. Currently, we're using this one because we like it. The bar is open. There's a bartender behind there, and she is setting up shop, and even though we are currently having what they classify as mimosas, could be walking over there shortly and helping myself. That's the way that we are going to do it here. Also, Abbey Studio, if you're going to rawmikeRichards.com, remember that as we add to it, the one thing that I talked about earlier on that we have not done yet because we have to implement all these things onto what they call an ecosystem. This will be a very deep website. So a lot of the archive things that, I'll be honest, some of the stuff that I've done on camera, and I've done a bunch of it, and almost none of it aired because people are like, you can't put that on there. You can't.
Oh, you can now, though.
Everything. I had to fight for everything to get stuff on there. Now we can put it right on there, and so you're going to see that very shortly as well. So, Abbey Studio, our good friend Ben and Lauren, who did a wonderful job putting that together. Remember, please subscribe. This is a huge help to us as we move forward. And of course, our Jedis, as they like to call it, our digital design team at Eggplant, Canada's leading independent creative hub.
I'm going to agree with that statement.
They
I know it's a little over the top.
I know it is.
I'm going to check mark that one.
Hey, now there's a guy washing windows behind us as we.
look at that, eh?
See, I've never really been in a studio where we can see outside. You know, this is this is what they call
There's light.
eyewitness weather, and there's a guy who's got one of the Nazi haircuts. I don't know what they call them these days. I don't know if that's the popular phrase. If you're part of the Hitler Youth, this is all the rage. He's just missing the beard. Is that still the look? Because I'm looking at Joe Thornton. You know, he doesn't have the Himmler going on, but the bird's nest beard. I mean, he's jumbo, so I guess he can do what he.
Yeah, but he's almost touching 40 in a league that's full of 20-year-olds. Is that?
Just the beard thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I'm sounding like Lou Lamorello. No facial hair.
I don't mind the facial hair, but not to that extent.
Hey, some of those guys, I don't think not having facial hair is that big a deal to them.
That's true.
Because they have relatively Russell is
Russell kind of looks like
he's
Mitch
got-
Marner.
Yeah, you know what? You kind of do look like
Yeah,
Mitch Marner.
A little bit of Mitch Marner.
Do people say that to you?
No, I don't think
You don't get that. We're going to use that shortly. If we don't get
In
guests.
fact,
if we don't get any guests, he's going to come on and say, "Ladies and gentlemen,
Mitch Marner.
Mitch Marner on the show."
Oh.
There we go, right there. He's doing a great job as we have some live action happening just behind us. I don't know if you can see it, but washing those windows. Also,
That's not our first guest, is it?
it could be if. Well, we've got some big ones coming up. Don't worry about that. We have some huge guests of teams. You know, and it's funny getting back to the NHL playoffs. Those that didn't make it. I'm looking at the Islanders, and I'm looking at their situation as they literally are asked. I don't even know if asked to leave. You know, Nassau, but I'm looking at their situation that was supposed to be so exciting in what is a tremendous facility in Brooklyn, and it just hasn't worked. And I don't think the players even enjoy the fact that of where they play. Are they gone? Are they going to be going back?
I think they might go back eventually. Yeah. It's funny though when an arena owner sits there and says the team renting my facility for 41 dates plus exhibition games says we're not making enough money with you actually in my building. You're out. That's saying something right there. I was disappointed that they left Nassau Coliseum just because of the history that was involved there and why that government at that time wasn't able to put together the right renovations to fix that place. I'm hearing right now that there is a little bit of an underground movement to fix this up. They'll be back in place, hopefully in the next couple of years. But I don't think they're going to get a new building, Mike. I think they're just going to work with what they have and kind of tinker with it, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But that I think the Islanders back on Long Island makes a lot of sense.
Because locally, when they put it to a vote, if those in that county, Nassau County,
Yes,
wanted to pay money to upgrade,
and it's an awesome area. Like Nassau County connected to Garden City. Garden City is a very posh area. I mean, just down the road is Belmont, the famous horse racing establishment. It's a very rich area of New York, but they've had a hard time convincing taxpayers.
Well, they said no. They said no. We don't want to pay for it.
Pay for this facility upgrade.
But honestly, if it's in your area and you're looking at a professional franchise, knowing what goes into it, kind of what the ownership is, what the players make, do you feel that it's incumbent upon you to foot the bill for the facility? Because I love sports. We live it. This has been our living for 27 to 30 years. When do you want to take a look at it? I don't know if I'm that excited to say, well, you can up my taxes and I'll pay for a facility, so I can watch guys who basically make anywhere between $2 and $8 million a year play, and I'm paying for your facility.
And an owner that makes more than everybody combined,
billions.
Yeah,
and then I go in and
that's my issue right
and
there.
$8 for a beer, $25 for parking or worse. What are the seats aren't free, but I paid for it. It doesn't matter. Everyone paid for it.
Sure.
I mean, when you look at the cost of going to, and in this case, we're saying the NHL, it doesn't matter how much money you make. Do you really think that, I don't know, it's a great investment for the community? I mean, that's why, I look at Jerry Jones and what was, when the first attempt at where that building was going to be, and they went, and the people of Dallas said, "What, you mean pay for a new building for Jerry?" No, we're not. Why would you? Why for Jerry? Now I got to pay for that. I mean, I just don't see it. So I think there's a weirdness to that Islander situation, and that's why earlier asking about those that if we're talking about what Toronto may or may not do now, being out of the playoffs and still moving forward, because they're still going to make some aggressive moves. Having John Tavares on that team, if it were possible, like to me that must be of huge interest if it's viable at all.
If it is viable, exactly. Because you're looking at a situation where by the time Tavares is able to come to Toronto, you're going to be thinking about upgrades and extensions to Nylander, Marner, Matthews. You'll have that big fat Zaitsev contract that's probably already signed and we just don't know fully about it. Morgan Riley still makes a huge boatload of cash. Frederick Anderson is in the $5-6 million range as well. There's only so much money, Mike, you can actually gouge out. And a John Tavares, arguably could be asking for a $10 million a year contract.
Was it Charles Wong?
Yes.
That gave, was it Rick DiPietro?
Yeah, he's still getting paid.
Wouldn't you love? I don't even think that was a real guy. Has anyone ever seen him? Because who's the guy who won the Ottawa Rough Riders for a while?
The Gleavermans?
No. The Wing Hung or.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
no,
about.
look, I'm just saying I can't pronounce the names. But at some point, I just thought they were maybe the same guy because I never saw them. I never saw these people. It was like it was made up or something.
Now it's bothering me. I'm trying to think of what it is.
But those kinds of monies that go out there, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
The island maybe since that time has never recovered. Like Garth Snow, is he even liked in his own
family? Is that what you're going to say?
It just seems like there are those even within the Islanders organizations, like they're not big on what he does.
Well, he's Charles Wong's a big Garth Snow guy, right? So it kind of helps. Charles Wong is welcome to fund us.
Come on the show. Come on the show.
I think he should.
I'd like to see you. It's like the Klitschko's. I'm not sure there's two of them. Then fight each other. Isn't that funny how people did that though? There you are, brothers. Oh yeah, we'll fight each other. Would you fight your brother?
I don't want to fight my brother. Not right now.
I got two brothers. I couldn't even look. I know it's maybe it's a rarity, but I wouldn't want to be pounding on my brother's face.
No.
It just look. You wrestling. Do you get into stuff when you're younger?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The Klitschko's though. I mean, there's another thing. Another boxing that used to be just one of my favorites, and I couldn't wait for Michael Buffer to come on and talk about or announce the next biggest Golden Boy fight.
Now it doesn't exist.
Now I just
no.
What would
now we're sitting there hoping Conor McGregor signs the contract to get in the ring just to see what he does, which I don't know, against Floyd Mayweather may be a good result.
It's got to be UFC. I mean, you start talking about George St. Pierre coming back, but that's not a healthy sign either. I don't think for UFC.
They're grasping on past.
Like, is that running out of steam as well? It can't be.
It's not as big as what it was 3-4 years ago, Mike. A lot of these stars that we kind of watched where we thought, oh, every single division looks so good and in this. And those guys have kind of gone away. And now St. Pierre's back, and he's going to probably headline what is going to be the biggest card of 2017 in July or August or whenever this date is against Michael Bisping. But, I mean, he's part of that golden era of what made UFC big.
But that's what I mean.
4 or 5 years ago.
You're talking in past tense. But the sport really isn't that old already. Like when you talk about the comebacks of certain boxers, then there were generations of guys who tried to attempt that, including Muhammad Ali, including some of these guys, or Lennox Lewis. I mean, these guys actually did that. George Foreman may be the greatest example of that.
Horn Chen, by the way. Horn Chen. Yeah. Tom Harley texts in.
Oh, that's Tom. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tom
Horn Chen. I think he probably did some business with Horn Chen.
He did. You know what? I don't know what kind of parents it doesn't matter what language you speak. You got to know if you're naming your kid Horn. It's not good. It's not going to be fun during school. Now, okay, you're a billionaire, I guess, or whatever, but someone who's close to him at some point had said, I realize you're going to North America, you're going to, you have all these businesses. You may not want to use Horn.
Yeah, don't use Horn. Horn Chen.
Just change it to Nick.
That's very popular
Nick
in our
Chen.
film. Yeah, it's Nick Chen.
Why not? Coming up also this week, some surprises, and I think when it comes to some of our guests, I'm looking forward to who we think that we're going to have on when we talk about the NFL draft. It's always interesting, although there have been past drafts where it has been cringeworthy, at least to me it is, and I think when it was Brady Quinn, that was so awkward. Where you sit at the tables where you assumed you're going to go close to the top 3, maybe the top 5, and because the guys doing the broadcasting, they can see you and it goes all over the place, and guys are getting chosen. There's another look at Brady Quinn, who actually moved from that table to a lesser table. Like it's now he's gone to Mr. Bobo's table. They just continually went to and then not any table at all.
No.
He went to they said the green room. I think it was called the crying room. Like it was where, because
that was hard to watch.
It was.
It was really hard
awkward
to watch.
But I think a lot of those drafts, the way that it's been handled, do kind of feel that way. And I guess depending on when you're going to be picked, and all, now it seems like it's almost automatic. But I don't know necessarily, when Charlie Villanueva gets drafted by the Raptors, and Stephen A. Smith's up there, and they go, the Raptors are proud to pick Charlie Villanueva. Was it University of Connecticut? I think it was UConn. Oh, it's a Tampa pick. I don't know, picking his ass for. I was like, hello, I'm Charlie. I'm right here. I can hear everything you're saying. That's a shit pick. I'm like, I don't know. Drafts? And look, of all the drafts, can we at least agree the NFL has
by far?
It's not even close.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's must watch TV.
Like, it is. It's great.
If you're sitting there in the NHL and you're sitting there going, okay, our second round of the playoffs start Wednesday and they go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, etc. Oh no, the NFL drafts up against us.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Like you've got the NFL draft, which I like. The NBA draft, I do to a degree. I like that as well.
It's okay.
If you're comparing NBA and NHL, who has the better draft?
I'm an NHL draft guy though.
Yeah, you like it.
But as far as what they put into the coverage of an NBA draft, it's much bigger. It's much bigger, and it just has that better look. And we're talking about, I'm not talking about the broadcast, I'm talking about what the league actually does to it. The NHL's behind in a lot of categories, and that might be one of them right there.
I like the fact that MLB doesn't even...
No, MLB's like in a room smaller than this.
They don't even try.
No, they don't. they don't.
Unless it's a Mike Trout, it's like St. Louis Cardinals, Jose someone? From the University of, I haven't even heard this one.
I can't
Northeast Carolina of Mother Teresa. I don't know. Phone him.
Let them know.
You got a cell phone? Okay, just leave a message.
And it's a commissioner that reads off everything too, eh?
Yeah.
So, because I've seen Bud Selig clips. So I know he's not there anymore, but yeah, he has the laptop there, and They're staring into that font is too small.
Chicago, that's why we're hoping we should be down there. We would like to be on the floor if they'll allow us. There's also the weirdness of, in starting a project like this is one I think is really interesting. Regardless of being in the business for a number of years, when you say raw Mike Richards, they're like, what? Yeah, can we get, what are you, a rapist? Oh, I'm not a rapist.
You've got
raw Mike Richards.
You've got these questions.
Oh, it's like, what? What are you going to do when you're down there? What are you going to do? Well, not raping. That's not really why we're getting the thing. But they just give you this look like, I don't know. You've accredited me. No, I'm fine. I'm normal. I'll get people to call who will vouch for me. What is your show about? Oh, it's okay. It's about rape. Like, what am I supposed to say to these people? I'm like, just take it easy. So hopefully we'll get down there. Vegas would be outstanding. In fact, I think if we're going to plan some trips.
This
here.
show name would work in Vegas.
Oh yeah,
they wouldn't ask you any questions. Is that it? Just raw Mike Richards?
Well, we can get some tigers out here to maul Russell. Apparently, that's big in Vegas. Which one got it, by the way? Siegfried and Roy. Do you go to shows when you go to Vegas?
Seldom, no.
I saw Seinfeld there.
Okay.
So I'm going to see a stand-up.
It's interesting when you go down there and it's like you have a choice of like 17 different shows and it's like, holy crap. It's like
someone's like, do you want to see the Blue Men? Nope.
No.
They sound shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
what a terrible.
But all these guys, they drum and let me just guess.
Cares?
They're
who cares?
Blue.
and they paint themselves up like a bunch of losers.
Yeah,
that's talent.
I don't.
I understand. Okay, I'm not a Celine Dion fan. I understand people would want to. Britney Spears, I'm not a fan, but I understand why you'd want to go see that. Let
me just ask you a question now.
Fire.
And the show really doesn't have a lot of reality to it.
No,
it never
doesn't.
has.
Yeah.
So you're in a lounge.
Yes.
It's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
You've been with some of the fellas and we've had some drinks. Speaking of which, where'd that bottle go? And you're in there, and it's a little dark. People can't see. And then after one of her shows, Celine Dion comes in, and she slides right behind you in one of those little banquette things, right? You're talking away. She's laughing. You go, oh, Dave, that's so funny.
Well, that's a good impression. I like that.
Bien sûr. And she said, what are you doing here? And you say, I'm here for the NHL award show. Oh, you hockey player? And you go, yeah.
Okay, I've used that before.
Yeah, sure.
I think we all have.
Would you play Saint Boniface?
That's exactly, yeah.
And you say, but of course.
Oui.
And the next thing you know, she's coming in with like one of these slow motion. I don't know if that's appetizing for people, but I'm just saying she's opening her mouth and, would you?
Under the circumstances, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, just to
I
sit
would.
There,
I would.
Just to sit there and tell your friends that you did.
So what did you do last night? I completely made out with Celine Dion.
Yeah.
What?
Of course, this isn't a scenario of
then
I'm able to, right?
Like that. I think you do. Russell, would Celine Dion? You're having some drinks. No one can kind of see. Are you making out with Celine Dion? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just name recognition.
Would the hand wander a little bit?
I think it has to.
Yeah, I think it has to as well. Russell, hand?
Hand?
Yeah, of course.
Russell would get the feet in there too, kind of.
Yeah. And that's when
Russell's kind of weird, though.
That's when he takes his shirt off and there's like lederhosen and
he's wearing a latex bodysuit.
He's got the ball gag thing. Oh, Russell, that's amazing. I would. I'm just saying. So, but think about it. If you're playing in Vegas for one of those teams, stuff is going on.
My wife just sent me a text. Celine Dion ? Question mark. Question mark. Question.
Irene. Okay, so let's say you're there and it's. I was going to say Wayne Newton, but that's no good. Yeah.
So, do you want to, that weird? Hey, Irene, you want to make a?
Wayne. Speaking of Wayne Newton reminds me of Rene Rancourt. Not the look, but the style.
Yeah,
the style.
Yeah,
because I'm watching
I'm
watching the Boston game yesterday. He comes. I love Rene Rancourt, and anytime he's
we'll get him on. He's fun.
He is fantastic. He comes out, and I'm like, this is a Vegas show happening in the middle of Boston.
Yeah.
And at the end, where he sits there and he does the double pump, and And he's
But some people lose their shit over that though. Some
odd.
people get mad and go, "Why
I
you getting so
love
mad?"
Rene Rancourt. Yeah.
It's like my granddad. God bless him. Not with us anymore. But he lived a pretty good. Like most of the bad stuff that I have in me comes directly.
Oh, okay. So that's you can attribute.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So he understands.
100%.
So he's listening to this show somewhere else.
Oh, sure he is.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
He's going, tell the old stuff, Michael, my boy. Tell him some of the stuff in Cuba. Not the Cuba story, not yet. They're not ready for that. But yeah, who's gonna? But see, when you look at the anthem singers, you bring this up because Renee, I think, is great. That girl who sang for the Leafs, like she can really sing. That girl.
Yeah. Yeah, the hyphenated last name.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, and she's out there every single game, which is kind of cool because before they'd have like 17 different anthem singers. You never know what you got. Now the Leafs have that one that is the anthem singer. And
would you make out with her?
No,
that girl?
No.
Russell?
She is 15.
She's 15. All right.
Yeah, she's 15.
You never know.
I'm just saying.
As I take another drink, so do you like the Power Rangers? I was Donatello. Do you like remember the guy in Vancouver though with the tuxedo and he went on skates and
he
stuff
tripped
like that?
over
and he fell?
Yeah, it was great.
He was.
I liked it because it happened in Vancouver.
Yeah, I wasn't big on that one.
Yeah. I don't know what's the purpose of skating and singing.
No,
you do a lot of You see Edmonton the other day in San Jose, the guy's in the crowd. The guy was actually in the crowd singing, and then all of a sudden he stopped after and then everybody takes over.
So is it the thing now that anthem singers are trying to outdo each other?
Yeah, they're lazy. They're lazy. See, like we
that.
could be anthem singers because all we have to do is sit there and go, "Oh, Canada," and then we have to stop, and everybody else takes over. We just sit there like it's ours.
The first NHL All-Star game, I got to take listeners to Vancouver, and we go to like the very first All-Star game they had. So the format was the North America
versus the world, maybe?
Yeah,
because they've changed this format every single year.
So Brian Adams
Brian Adams cuts as a knife. Brian Adams
cuts as a knife.
Okay.
Vancouver. Brian
okay,
Adams.
I just want to make sure.
Like, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, I'd like to introduce to Brian Adams to sing. It's like we're in Vancouver, pal.
Sure. Yeah.
Just take it easy with the.
Go English
with the
on
Frenchie. Oh, Canada, you Scooby Dooby. No, so, are you serious, Brian? Really? He forgot the words, and I'm thinking the anthem thing should just be like, don't try too hard. Like, don't do the little, what are they called? Little fills or at the end.
Sure.
Or runs. Don't do a little run at the end.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know who's a good. I mean, they said Renee is good. Oh, who's the one from the Los Angeles Kings though?
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about. She was in the reality show.
Lovato or
no, but she kind of has that look.
Yeah,
she was on one of those reality shows.
You would make out with.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sure.
Russell.
I'm not sure who it is.
Okay, just say yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Say okay. Old lady in Montreal, Madame, whatever her name is. She was singing for the. She's kind of like the Kate Smith of Montreal. Yeah, she was singing the national anthem. She's magnificent as far as the power and the command of. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I do like the Kate Smith stuff in Philadelphia.
Do they still play it?
Yes. In the playoffs.
From the mountains.
Yes.
And the mountains.
Yes. The regular singer will come up there and throw to the scoreboard rendition of God Bless America.
That's pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Because the record,
and it's a Philadelphia tradition.
The record was unbelievable when she actually sang that.
Yes, she was amazing. But you know what? Those Flyer teams in the 70s were pretty damn good. So I mean, the record was good, but sure, you had Bobby Clark, one of the best centers of a generation.
Then they just kick your face in or take a skate and kick in the nuts.
That's it.
All the mountains
and the valley. But it must have been the singer.
We'll kick you in the nuts. God bless. Yeah. Those were some tough teams. There were some bloody teams.
Oh, my wife just tweeted me. Pia Toscano is the Los Angeles one.
Oh, I thought she was tweeting it on who she'd make out with because that was.
Yeah, she had.
If that happens,
she had Mike Fisher down for.
Oh, Mike Fisher.
Yeah, Mike Fisher.
Do you think Vicky, her sister, or twin sister's watching the show?
She might be. Yeah. Do you have any kind of special message for her?
I don't know that word. There's things that I know to say and I want to say to Vicky. I really do. I mean, if you look at some point, will she be a guest on this show? Absolutely.
You know, she just works down the street here too.
Does she really?
She's probably. I'm gonna say.
Is it called the Makeout Barn?
It is not called that. I'm going to say it's at least 2 square city blocks from here, so that's not far.
That's really close.
Yeah. Mind you, we're in a good area.
Yeah,
we're on
very
King
good,
Street
yeah.
East.
Yeah, this is a very good.
It's
area.
a good area.
Yeah, it is a very good area.
So,
what have we learned today? Not a whole bunch.
no. And we only got 15 minutes left. by the
Yeah,
way.
we got, and trust me, I mean, a lot of people asking, where. So like some of the characters will show up, and we, again, as we sort of technically add to the show, so as they call it, B-roll. So when we want to talk about something from the night beforehand or the weekend or whenever, we'll be able to actually show it, talk to you, and talk over it. That is also coming your way as well. But we're just so thrilled, actually, that we get a chance to do this. We're going to bring you as much as we can, including some of amazing guests that are coming up.
Yeah, and that's going to come because these first couple of shows were kind of, just like you said, we're kind of the introduction. The here it is. This is what we're doing. The guests will come.
Yeah.
This show isn't necessarily has to be 17 guests on a 2-hour show.
No, we're not going to do that. And I will say some of the people who work here at the Junction Hotel, which is what this facility is part of, very sketchy. Some of the
Yeah, I
employees.
was going to say that.
Like if half the silverware is gone by the end of today,
Tough but fair analysis.
that's a win. That is very much a win here at the Junction Hotel. And once again, thanks to our buddies at Henry's, Canada's greatest camera store, and they are support our guys. Go out and take a look at it. And of course, Abbey Studio, Ben and Lauren, who've done a great job. And remember to subscribe to rawmikeRichards.com. Eventually, we will have an archive section for a lot of the stuff that you'll want to listen to. And of course, there's as I said, there's a lot of camera stuff that I've certainly done in the past. I think we got to put your when you dress,
Podcast on there?
yeah. So Bastel Bites, we're going to
Yeah.
put on. You're going to be
Okay.
able to get the Bastel Bites
Sure.
on rawmikeRichards.com. But when you're dressed up like Dracula doing the sports,
Nah, you don't want that.
I think people love
You want that, eh?
But someone put some.
Do you want that Dale Howardchuk message you sent me before my wedding too, or what? It's true.
I say just put everything on there. There's nothing that I won't put on there.
See, a lot of people don't believe me when I say it. It's like, no, Dale Howardchuk sent me a video message. Dale Howardchuk was supposed to come to my wedding. I know that sounds weird.
No, because he's going to be on this show
He
shortly.
should be on the show.
He's going to be on the show shortly.
I'm kind of disappointed he's not sitting beside me right now.
I'm going to put on some stuff that, when you're like a senior in high school and you skip lunches and you drink during the day.
Yep.
Well, we decided, myself and my friend Steve, also known as the Beaver Man. That's right, the Beaver Man. We did some recording of specific kind of songs, and there's low class and low brow as you get. We still think it's hilarious. That's going on. It's all going on.
It's happening.
Yeah, and then I'll put some of the camera stuff that, again, people. Oh, I know what I was going to say. There was a picture that someone put on of you and some big movie star. It was like a movie or something.
Yeah, I've been in about 4 or 5 of them. You know which one it was?
You've been in 4 or 5have movies.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think of the
Are
big
these
one.
ones that you rent?
Oh, no.
No.
No, these aren't
Yeah.
those. No.
Yeah. You could be in one with Celine Dion now that I think about
Yeah,
it.
well,
And
very similar.
called the Titanic. I'm just throwing that out there. I think that would be interesting. She's singing the song and
No. That's terrible.
and you scream, "I'm king of the world."
Let me off this boat. I'm trying.
No
to
wonder it sank. Look, God bless Celine, but my Jesus, when she sings, that would blow a hole in the bottom of that boat. What was the movie that you were in?
I'm trying to look at it. Category 7, End of the World. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Was it like Robot Martians or
Oh
something?
no!
Right.
There was a great storm that happens, and I'm trying to look really quick here because I haven't seen
Category 7. So it's
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Gina Gershon. Gina Gershon's in the movie.
Gina Gershon.
Oh, tell me you didn't like Gina Gershon.
No, I've spent a lot of time
Shannon
thinking
Doherty
about her.
was also in the movie.
I also like Shannon
Yeah.
Doherty.
Randy Quaid, Robert Wagner, James Bullen, Tom Skerritt. Who else was
Yeah.
in it? I'm trying to think.
And Dave Bastel?
And yeah, but my role compared to these guys were night and day. I was a White House press reporter, so I had lines in it too.
Could you? What was the line?
I don't remember the line. It's out there though.
What was Gina Gershon? Who'd she play? What'd she play?
She was the
She like a scientist or something?
no, she was of FEMA, which is like the world organization. If anything ever actually would blow up or there was a big disaster in North America, and
Dr. Johnson. Yes, you.
that's exactly how it went. Yes.
Could
Right.
you do a cartwheel? Is that in the script? Can I just?
Wait a second. Cartwheel. No.
No, she was great. Wasn't she also the hot chick in
Showgirls.
Showgirls, but
yeah.
48 hours. What was the Nick Nolte one?
Ooh,
I don't
she's
know.
been in a lot of different ones. Yep.
She was that was,
Bingo.
Someone said, "Are you going to do hot '80s chicks?" Absolutely, we'll bring that back.
I think so.
Some of the
Because you got to
Third
remember
Song Fridays. Like we got to remember some of the stuff.
Yeah,
we
you
did.
got to remember a lot of the things that we used to do at other locations were our creations. They
Yeah.
were nobody sat there and,
No.
and dictated what we did.
Well, it's like Bob Cole chicks I've done
Yeah,
since.
and it's like that's why you don't hear them anywhere
Yeah,
else.
no,
So
you
it's,
don't.
and you never will either.
No, you won't. But again, we're probably going to be very busy. Look, in the fall, it's going to be a tremendously busy time, as we all know, and that's when I said there's going to be a gaming partner that is going to join us. We can announce that probably in about a month, we're thinking, in that time. But it's going to really make our lives so much easier. It'll be the easiest thing that we have done so far. And I can tell you that the odds that you'll be getting, and it is a big one. These guys are a big fish. That they were they knew everything about me, too. It was really weird. They're like, so you were approached by this company back in 2007? I'm like, yeah, how'd you know that? This girl came to your house? Yeah. Like, how many girls do you know that came? Like, it just got weird. But, in that business, they know what they're doing. So we're looking forward to that as well. But as I said, look at what we've done over the years. We're just going to have a casual talk about, again, what we've seen. We, last night in looking at the Leafs. To me, I get it. We're broadcasting Toronto, so it's not always necessarily going to be a Toronto first thing. But I just think in light of what we saw with that team, what has been built, and looking at an Austin Matthews, here's the other thing too. I noticed. So there were a lot of questions, and Mike Babcock goes on. But he in some of these analogies, because it's not coach speak. It's just he's got his very own style of how he says things. But he's been doing these stories lately, where I wasn't really following, what it was pertaining to hockey wise. Like he was saying that when you go to a dock, if you go into a cottage, and you got your group with you, and you start running, and you put your toe in the water just to see, what the temperature is, and then you decide, if you're gonna go in it. And I'm going, toe out? What? What does he mean? I haven't seen anyone put their toe in the water since like a Fred Flintstone cartoon. If you got, if you want to do a cannonball or can opener, put your eyes, hands over your face, big splash for your goop. Like, I don't know what that means, but it must be something good for the Leafs because, look. The one thing that he did say is just the difference between the start of the beginning of the year. And he said the biggest thing is, I didn't even know if Mitch was going to make the team, if Marner was going to make it, and he done a good job too. And he did do a good job.
He did a very good job.
Do you think people are unfair because they go, he's a little small, kind of disappeared in the playoffs?
You know what? I think that's unfair. He did kind of disappear in the playoffs, but you know what?
He's 10.
That's okay. That's okay.
Look at.
I know.
Look at Russell.
I know.
Okay, let's go back to a Vegas situation. We go to the Bunny Ranch. He's talked a big game. His love of prostitution, his manacles, his ball gag, all these things and then he gets in there, and then the girl goes, "So what do you want? You want a dippity-doo around the world with a double ender?" The skaggy talk that they have, and he panics and he just freezes and he doesn't know what he's saying. I'm going, yeah, it's his first time at the ranch. By visit number 10, I want a double scoop, nipple rub, tug. Knows all the lingo. You got to give people time to grow into it. Give him some time. But Marner,
6 out of the 12 forwards were first-year players on this team. That's meaning players with under 100 games of NHL experience.
3 years ago, they were living with their parents.
Yes. They
Seriously.
were.
That's what you're looking at. And that's why I look at Pittsburgh again. And on the top 5 point getters so far in the playoffs. So Malkin's got like 11 points.
Mm-hmm.
Then third is Crosby. Fourth is Kessel. Between the three of them, they got like 26 or 7 points.
How much better would they be if Chris Letang was in this lineup too?
And that's the thing. I'm looking at them going,
ooh.
Do they have the possibility of winning again?
Yes. I think they beat the Capitals. I think the way I'm not, it's not a disregard against the Capitals, but the Penguins almost seem like they're in another era compared to what the Washington Capitals bring. I know the Leafs gave them a great fight, which was fantastic. 5 overtimes in 6 games. That's great. But If they're going to fool around like that with the Pittsburgh Penguins, that one's going to be over shortly.
I thought it was interesting at the end of the game last night in overtime, and Scott Oak is talking to Braden Holtby.
Correct.
And he said, so is this kind of what you thought? He goes, man, I knew the Leafs would give us a tough time. He goes, but I didn't think they'd be this good.
No, exactly.
He said, we're going to be playing against these guys.
Even Barry Trott's talking to Mike Babcock after the game. He told him, you got something here. You really do.
We've got a good group, and, I think that if you're on a trampoline, for instance, if you do the bouncing, and I don't know. I can't even do it. Already, I'm
I mean, if I'm looking at this Leaf roster, I don't want Martin Marincin anywhere near this roster next year. I'm so disappointed.
People are all just.
I'm sorry. I know.
Well,
but
he got into a bit of a chase, and
I don't want him near this roster. I don't know if I want Roman Polak part of this roster. Actually, you know what? I do. I don't want Roman Polak part of this Leafs roster moving forward. I'd go as far as saying if you're going to bring back one of these elder statesmen, I'm okay with the Matt Hunwick. But Matt Hunwick better be the number 6 on this team. And they better tinker with that 3-4 because I don't think they're rich enough or want to trade too many of the assets up front for a 1-2 defenseman.
Do you take an Uncle Leo? Does Komarov stay with the team?
Yes. And I know he still has a year left on the contract, but Komarov's play with Kadri, they talk about Kadri's play. A lot of it has to do with Leo Komarov and what they've done together. And credit Mike Babcock for the whole revitalization of Nazem Kadri because he turned this guy that was, you know what, we're not sure what we have here into a guy that scores over 30-plus goals, checks the top line on the opposition, sometimes good, sometimes not so good, but he turned him into an NHL player, a viable guy, and they have Nazem Kadri under contract for the next 5 years at a decent price, a really decent price.
Was this the best year for you that Kadri's had as a professional?
By far. And that's that right there in itself, because you sit there and you go, okay, well, moving forward, Austin Matthews in place, Nazem Kadri in place. I'm still not sure about Tyler Bozak. I once that contract expires, I don't think he's going to be around. But you have other guys that are coming into place and coming into, to replace. And it's easy replacing a third line center or what should be a third line center. Fourth line center, I don't know if Brian Boyle's going to be back. He's unrestricted. But you look at a Kasperi Kapanen, who we saw late in the year, plus the playoffs. Man,
Kapanen's money.
Money found.
Yeah.
Connor Brown, not too good of a playoff, but a really good regular season.
Well, again, another kid.
Love it.
Another kid. I got no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't have to tell you about William Nylander and what he's done with the team, or Mitch Marner, like we've talked about, and guys like that. So,
well, I think as we look back on what we've learned today, a lot of us, upon having drinks in Las Vegas, if the room were dark enough, we would all make out with Celine Dion.
I think that's a good way of wrapping it up.
Who was the other one that we said we would? The singer from the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah, Pia Toscano.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different in looks and age.
Yeah, so that way we've decided that stay away from the talk of the Maple Leaf girl.
Correct.
Even Russell.
Yes.
I think they're the same age. So
look, there's a parking ticket guy giving out tickets. Those guys are the great, eh? Salt of the earth. Hey?
It's like our last program director. I'd like to thank all of those who made this possible, including Henry's, Canada's greatest camera store, supported us throughout our adventure at rawmikeRichards.com. Also, the backbone of the team, Abbey Studios, that's Ben and Lauren. Make sure you go to rawmikeRichards.com and subscribe to be part of the Richards Army. And, of course, Eggplant, Canada's leading independent creative hub. They helped us, and they made this possible. Let's get ready to rock ball! Thanks for joining us Monday to Friday. Mike Richards, Dave Bastel, telling you to have a great day. Download us now, iTunes, Google Play, however you want to do it. Bye-bye.